Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode back of the Chris and Brant Show, the show where we finally got a title for the random stuff we do on this channel. And
Chris?
yes, Brant. Hi, Brant, by the way.
Hi, everybody. We do have a title, but I was thinking we really kind of need a theme song for this thing, don't you think?
Yeah, why not?
I think I've come up with a little something, and it goes a little bit like this. I'm Brant, he's Chris. We put on a show you just can't miss. He says cowabunga, I say yo Joe. Welcome to the Chris and Brant Show.
That felt very 80s. That felt very 80s.
It was supposed to. It's retro. See, that's in now. That's
retro is in with toys and everything nowadays.
I think if people don't like it, that theme song, they should write us one and record it and send it to us so we can use it.
There you go. We'll use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll give you credit.
Absolutely. Right, so for those of you that missed the announcement, the Chris and Brant Show is basically me and Brant talking about a specific topic. It's not like the morning stream where it's like anything kind of morning themed live show. This is a specific live show, and I saw this a couple of days ago, and this is going to slingshot over to recommending you guys check out the latest Zone 4, but the July sales came in for comics, and there was a statement made, and I feel like, I really went off on a rant or a tangent during Zone 4. Again, if you'd like to hear that, it's Zone 4, episode 313. Go check it out, because I did go on a rant about Dan Didio's little statement, and we'll get into that after we talk about the sales. But it's just kind of ironic that I was ranting about that. First of all, I'd like to take this live show to professionally share my opinion without ranting. If you'd like to see the full-fledged rant, which I will not go on this live show, go over to zone4podcast.com. It's the latest Zone 4 episode. If you're watching this later on in the year or later on in life, episode 313, you will see the craziest rant ever. This show is going to be completely professional. I might curse him out a little bit, but I won't go on the rant I went on Zone 4. But anyway, let's talk about the sales. Brant, now you're better with this than me because you've dealt with posting this or talking about this before. So we have several ways to do this. There's the top comic book publisher. There's the new titles shipped. There's the comparative. We're not going to get into the comparing. We're not comparing. There's the top 10 comics, top 10 books, top 10 graphic novels,
right,
top 10 toys, etc., etc. Well, top 10 games, and that's it. That's the full rundown.
Why don't we start with the publisher?
I agree.
Okay.
Now, which version are we going to do? You're going to do it. I want you to start because you.
Okay.
Are we going to do retail and market share, or do we want to just do market share? Because we're really not comic company, like a comic shop.
Let's do retail unit. I mean, these numbers are really close anyway. So if we say one, it's going to be really close to the other. Basically, just to explain to everybody there, this isn't how many comics the retail shop sold, it's how many they ordered. So it's kind of based on that, how many copies the retailers bought from Diamond, and that kind of gives them their numbers. For anybody that's familiar with the breakdowns every month, it's usually they do it in the pie chart format, and they do it in the list format as well. But for the longest time, DC and Marvel are always neck and neck, and then the other publishers, kind of stair step down, gradually taking a much smaller piece of the pie. Well, recently, Marvel has kind of edged out quite a bit over DC. And in July, with the retail market share, Marvel owned 38.43% of the entire market, with DC only getting 23.94%. So that's a huge margin. That's like a 15% difference between the two. And I believe it was the same in June. I think we talked about it on one of the shows.
I think so too.
Yeah. So I mean, DC's obviously they're still far above your Image, IDW, Dark Horse, etc. But significantly lower than Marvel. They're usually like neck and neck. They both have like 34, 35%. but Marvel has been kind of kicking their butts lately in that realm anyway. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Marvel right now has a lot of really great books coming out now. All the books right now coming out of Marvel are strictly limited series, all pertaining to Secret Wars. They've kind of ended or frozen. Actually, they have ended because they're going to be relaunching with number ones. They've kind of ended their ongoing series to do Secret Wars, and then after Secret Wars, we're getting a whole bunch of brand new books. There's going to be like 2 or 3 waves of new books. So right now, Marvel is really focused on Secret Wars and all the miniseries involved with it. And DC finished their big event, which was only a 2-month event. Marvel's event's kind of a little bit longer. But DC's event finished, and I feel like after the event, nothing really changed. Even though they say the multiverse is open now, it still feels the same. And I wasn't reading much of DC.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's like they kind of went right back to status quo, and we talked about this. We went into detail about this on Zone 4, like you mentioned. But it seems like they're kind of catering to fans a little bit by doing these new miniseries, or these new they are miniseries, I believe, that are taking place on the various multiple Earths. But they're a little bit they're in continuity with those worlds, but they're like flung into the future a bit, and all this stuff. It's just a way to appease the fans that want those stories, but their core universe is still the same as that universe that it was before Convergence, which is not what we all thought was going to happen. And so I think because of that, there's a little bit of disappointment, and that's why sales have kind of gone down for DC. In their defense, Marvel puts out more titles than any company in the market, period. So,
Plus they do all the series, all the main series that do really well or have a big, team on it, or are a core hero team or hero book. A lot of them double up. It started with Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the only book that doubled up or actually came out every single week.
Yeah, it was like 3 times a month for a while, yeah.
And Marvel saw that was working, so they decided to grab all their big books and start doubling them up. And that's where, you can argue, hey, DC only has, how many books did DC put out? The list is right underneath. DC put out
75. They were both 75, yeah. You're right.
DC put out 75 books, and so did Marvel this month.
Wow.
Now, DC, it's 75 different books. Marvel 75 is comprised of at least 1 or 2 double-ups, if not more.
Quite possibly, yeah. Interestingly enough, Image put out almost as many books.
Yeah, it's only 1 short, 74. And Image is the kind of company where there really is no core universe. Image is a bunch of indie books that are under their banner, but all creator-owned or company-owned, but still taking place in their own universe, which is why I love Image. Image is really fun because nothing's connected, really. Everything has its own place. Walking Dead is its own thing. Invincible, even though it's written by the same person, its own thing. There was another title connected to Invincible, but again, all of those stayed together. Saga is its own thing. We Stand Guard is its own thing, and it's an amazing book. Birthright is from Image also, right?
Yeah.
Birthright, again, its own thing. Image is the best company right now for a wide variety of different stories because they're not focused on one universe. IDW is kind of the same, but IDW has more
licensed properties.
That's it, licensed products. Valiant is its own universe. It's all connected. Same thing with Dynamite's also kind of connected.
Zenoscope is
also, yeah, exactly. So, well, did you give all the shares, or you just gave Marvel and DC for the market share?
Marvel and DC, Image has 9.48%, IDW 6.6%, Dark Horse 3.77%, Archie 2.28%, Boom 1.85, and this is just the top 10 for everybody. Dynamic Forces, which is Dynamite, 1.83. Titan, 1.26. Oni Press, 1.24, and other non-top 10, 9.32. So all the other smaller companies make up that other 9% or so.
Right. And this is all market share.
Yeah,
retail
market share. Yeah, but the unit share is pretty close. Almost just a little bit higher numbers. Like, for instance, Marvel's retail share is 38.43. Their unit share is 41.59. But again, of course, it would be. Marvel typically does put out more books. Obviously, they didn't this month, because they were neck and neck with DC and only put 2 more graphic novels out than they did. So
right. So interesting. It is nearly double, though. I mean, for their unit share, it's 41. DC's 24. I mean, they're by 4% or maybe about 3%. They're basically, Marvel is double DC almost. I guess we'll have to really wait and see what happens after Secret Wars. But again, after Secret Wars, we're going to be getting pretty much the same thing. We're getting about 60-something books, and they're going to double a good amount of them up. And
a lot of them are going to be #1 issues, which always sell. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of the beast, and that's really why they keep doing this, why they keep relaunching it and basically creating volumes of the series, because they know that these #1 issues sell, because it's a jumping on point for new readers. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why they're keeping their series very volumed. Like, they'll do 1 through maybe 20, and then they'll end the volume and then bring it back in another #1, so people won't be confused, people won't think. But there's still continuity. So, honestly, even though they're voluming and changing the numbers, you still have to know what happened in the previous volume to still be up to date with what's happening. I mean, you wouldn't be able to read Spider-Man right now and understand everything that's going on unless you read back anyway, right? So,
right, yeah.
I never understood that.
I don't know. I don't know the logic of either one of these companies. I mean, when you're dealing with, it's got to be a chore to deal with the decades-long continuity of each of these characters. These are not, finite characters. They are, basically almost infinite characters that go on and on and on. I couldn't imagine, the headache of trying to organize all that. So, even with all our complaints about, editorial practices, all that kind of stuff, business practices of either company, I give, hats off to that alone, because it's, they deal with a lot of fanboy outrage. Mm-hmm. So, they take it in stride. They do the best they can. So, all that aside, all the humor and all the fun fanboy ranting that we do aside, I really do give them credit for that.
Yeah. All right, I got to touch on this top 10 now. We're skipping comparative. I'll try to find a link to put in the description if you guys would like to see it, but we're basically talking about everything anyway. The top 10 comic books for July.
Yeah.
Marvel here especially dominated. Out of the 10, Marvel has 8.
Yeah, that is crazy. I would expect them to have like 6 or 7 maybe, but 8. And the only reason that they didn't have 9 was because Archie.
Exactly. And to be honest, Justice League's going on with DC right now. Wonder Woman's going on. A lot of really big, now DC doesn't have a huge amount of books that are selling really well, but with a few of the books, you'd expect to see 1 or 2 more, especially Jeff Johns' Justice League right now, on top, and they're just not. I'm going to go from 10 to 1 because #1 is the highest selling book. Number 10 was Guardians of Nowhere, which I thought was an excellent book. I'm loving the series. Number 9 was Age of Apocalypse. I didn't read that. Did you read it, Brant?
I did read it, and I did really enjoy it. I think the reason that it made this list is because people that were fans of the original Age of Apocalypse story, this really felt like
continuation.
Yeah, it felt like a continuation of that, as opposed to all the other previous like Age of Apocalypse series that they've tried to do over the years. None of those really quite fit. This felt like it was straight out of that major crossover.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to read this. Michael actually is doing Age of Apocalypse. Number 8, I'm surprised. Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, number 2. I would expect that to be a little bit higher on the list, to be honest. But there were a lot of number 1s, and as we get higher up, it's a lot of number 1s and obviously event books.
Yeah.
But Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, I know you read it recently, Brant. I thought it was really, issue 2 was amazing. Issue 3 it was a little better. Issue 2 kind of was like, out of all 3 issues, was half and half. It was like the middle book, honestly. I think issue 3 was like the best so far.
I love this series. I think, for me personally, I thought it stair-stepped perfectly. I thought it just kept better and better. But I did read them all 3 back to back, so details are kind of fuzzy with me. But yeah, this was a fantastic series. I'm kind of surprised that it's not higher up as well, especially considering a couple that we'll get to here in a minute.
Yeah. All right, so next up, Archie number 1 is in the 7th place spot. Now, I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I haven't found the digital copy I have yet, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about this new direction that they're taking Archie, the more modernized Archie. I would really love to get my hands on this book at some point. I love that they didn't end the old Archie. The old Archie's still out there. This is a new series. So not destroying what was out there. That's still going on. It's just making something new from the old to go along with the old.
I would compare it to the way IDW is handling G.I. Joe, in the way that they continued the Real American Hero series from Marvel, straight with the numbering, same writer even, but they launched their own line of G.I. Joe comics, kind of starting it from scratch in a way. And that's kind of what happened here. I mean, yes, this is the only ongoing main Archie series, but they still put out some of the other books. They definitely put out specials with the classic Phil Archie. I'm sure they're going to still put out digests and stuff like that as well. So you're still going to get those kind of stories, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but this was fantastic. I mean, Mark Waid with Fiona Staples on art. This was just, as a longtime Archie fan, as a lifelong Archie fan, this was it exceeded expectations for me.
And it didn't ruin the franchise. It kind of just built on what was already there and just modernized it. They didn't look to reboot it. They looked to just modernize it, I hear.
Yeah, it was they didn't change a whole lot. I mean, it starts back at square one before Veronica even comes to town. But, you know, and it's definitely different than what you're used to with Archie. But it's, I don't know, it is more modern. It is kind of like Ultimate Archie in a way.
Gotcha. So it definitely deserved to be in the top 10, that's for sure. Now, number 6 is Darth Vader. Number 7, Michael reads Darth Vader. But it goes really well with Star Wars, which is on this list too, but it's not, it's a little bit higher up.
Yeah, right.
You don't read Darth Vader, or you're behind on Darth Vader, right?
I'm behind. I think I read the first 3 issues, and then I kind of fell behind. That's when I fell behind on everything. So I haven't caught up to that one yet.
I know Darth Vader is in our review this week, so we'll definitely be covering number 8. Number 5 is the only DC comic book, and I think this is strictly because of the change.
Yeah.
Or the team. It could be because of the team also. Batman 42. Now, DC is notorious for spotlighting Batman as their poster boy now. I mean, the movies do good. Everything is based around, or they're trying to be more like Batman because that's what's sold. And now Bruce Wayne's gone, and Commissioner Gordon is the new Batman. And personally, I think the book is only selling A, for the changes, and B, for the team. If not for those 2 things, I think that Batman would probably fail it wouldn't be in the top 10.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you, just because I think this story just took a change that most fans are not crazy about. But, you know, obviously we can't speak for a lot of them because it is in the top tens. But I would tend to agree with you that it is because people are loyal to Scott Snyder or whatever, or loyal to the story, or are curious about the change. Yeah.
Personally, I dropped the series after the Joker arc.
Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame was my Endgame for Batman. I couldn't deal with it anymore.
Same here, honestly. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sorry. When Bruce comes back, maybe we'll talk about me going back to Batman. But next on the list, we're in the top 4 now.
Yeah.
And Marvel is all 4 of these spots. Number 4 was Star Wars issue number 7. That was an excellent issue. I loved it. This is the Obi-Wan Kenobi one, right? I don't want to mix up.
I'm actually behind on this one too, so I don't know.
I believe it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
Either way, Star Wars has been going strong regardless. All of the issues have been great.
Right.
So either way, all of the Star Wars books have been great. Next up is Civil War number 1.
This honestly, one surprises me. Yeah.
It does? It does? A little bit. I'm going to say my piece, and then I want to hear why it surprises you. Personally, I loved it, and Civil War 2 came out this week. I'll be reviewing that in the Big 2 review. You guys will be seeing that tomorrow morning. But Civil War number 1 was interesting. It's interesting because it's a mystery. Somebody's trying to keep the war going on, and it's not Tony Stark and it's not Steve Rogers, at least to our knowledge as readers. It's somebody else that's pulling the strings. And it's just very interesting concept. I like it, and I like how, in the end, probably they're going to either come to an agreement or one of them is going to die. And I feel like they killed Steve Rogers in the original Civil War, so they might go the Tony Stark direction. My only thing is, how did Tony Stark get gray so fast?
Yeah.
That was what really perplexed me a little bit. And the fact that he's with She-Hulk. Okay, go ahead, Brant. That was all I had to say.
No, there's some time issues there. I agree. He should not be that old, that soon after this war, because Peter Parker still looks pretty young. I think this probably sold because the movie is coming out next year, and there's all that hype about it. There's nostalgia for the story because it was a huge story. It was a huge deal for Marvel. It kind of put Marvel on the mainstream press map at the time. With the unmasking of Spider-Man and everything. But this book, for me, I actually did not enjoy the first issue. I thought it was kind of boring and kind of stale, and it was one of my lowest picks for that week.
I think I remember that. It was one of my top, and it was one of your lower.
Yeah. So, that's all.
Well, hopefully you'll enjoy issue 2. It came out this week. I don't know if you read it yet.
No.
Hopefully it'll pick up for you because it actually did a little bit. Now, number 2, I didn't read it. It's because I'm waiting for The Force Unleashed. But Star Wars Lando, number 1. Now, I think a long-time Star Wars fans are obviously going to eat this book up because it's Lando's origin, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this is huge. But for me, I kind of statted out. I figured if anything, I'll get it in trade paperback later because it is a miniseries and it is ending, I believe, October-ish. So if anything, I could grab the trade paperback. But Lando, Brant, I know you read this, so.
I did, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really faithful to his character from those original movies, and it felt like I was reading Lando. I know some people, did not like the art as well. I thought the art was fine. I thought it was a really good representation of Billy D. Williams, for the most part, and I just really enjoyed it. I think that's why people flock to this one because we've not ever seen or heard about his origin, in this kind of setting. So it was really interesting.
Yeah. And then the number 1 spot, no surprise here.
Yeah.
Going to one of the biggest events going on in Marvel for a long time, and that's Secret Wars issue number 4. This shouldn't surprise anybody. So Secret Wars is an amazing series. It's going to be the series that changes. Now, see, this is where I get a little, not annoyed. I shouldn't say annoyed, but I get a little unnerved, maybe. Maybe that's the word. Maybe I'm wrong about that word, too. But a lot of people are comparing Secret Wars to Crisis from DC, that, Marvel's doing this. They erased their universe in order to bring it back and to change it. Now, that would be the case. It would be a Crisis-level book, if they completely rebooted their universe. They're not rebooting their universe. Everything that's happened before Secret Wars mostly is continuing. Peter Parker is still right after what happened to Parker Industries. X-Men are still in the same spot right before Secret Wars, where the teams are divided, and they got the all new X-Men who are travelers in time. This was the perfect time to retcon that because Bendis left that book, and they aren't. Iron Man, I think Superior Iron Man, because of Secret Wars, kind of that got let down, or we got we'll never get that conclusion. Huh? I'm sorry?
They got phased out.
Yeah, so we'll never get that conclusion to how Tony Stark kind of
I'm not sure.
unsuperiorized himself. Maybe we'll get a special one day about it, but we're not going to get it right now. Characters are coming back. Characters are being introduced. Like Miles is joining the 616. Old Man Logan is joining the 616. X-23 is taking the next step in her hero career. But nothing's rebooting. We're not going back in time to when the X-Men first came into existence. We're not going back in time when the Avengers started. As a matter of fact, we're going forward in time, and we're getting like 3 different teams.
Well, I agree with everything you're saying, but at the same time, Crisis on Infinite Earths did kind of have the same effect. It was they had all these multiple Earths, and they decided to combine them into one and bring elements from each one into the main DCU, which picked up where it had left off pre-Crisis.
They did? I thought they redid Origins and everything.
I don't know.
Because I know Man of Steel happened directly after. The only reason I say that is because I know Man of Steel happened.
They may have redone. They may have retold Origins. They definitely retconned some stuff and added, changed some stuff. But the characters were still in the present day as we knew them. They felt the effects of Crisis. They knew it happened. All that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, so basically it's like a moving forward. Even though they rebooted it, they just explained the reboots.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the way Secret Wars is. They had the incursions. Jonathan Hickman basically did take the Crisis on Infinite Earths idea and do it Marvel style. So I can understand that criticism of it, but Marvel has never done that level of an event, and so it's forgivable, I think, in this instance.
Because I agree with you. No, I agree with you 100%, and I don't think they're really trying to Crisis things. If you look at all the characters that are being introduced to the Marvel 616. Most of them are fresher characters and not characters that have been around for a very long time. Miles Morales. I think if they killed Miles along with the Ultimate Universe, there would be an uproar with fans because Miles has a huge following. I'm one of the people that loves Miles as a Spider-Man. Not the Spider-Man, but a Spider-Man. And Old Man Logan always had a cult following since Wolverine Weapon X's book. Or Wolverine Origin, was it? I don't know. Wolverine had like 10 books at one time, and I know it was in one of them. I have the trade paperback bookmarked on Amazon to get at some point. I did read it, though, digitally. I want a physical copy. But basically, they're taking the fan favorites and bringing them back, and then they're taking some older heroes that we haven't seen, like Red Wolf, and putting them back in the Marvel Universe and trying to fix certain other or make other characters more appealing, like Doctor Strange, for example, getting his own series again.
Yeah.
But this is not any different than when I'm trying to think of a perfect point, because if I say Original Sin, I'm wrong because the Marvel Universe was moving forward at that time. I'm trying to think of like when the Marvel Now happened, or All New Marvel Now. Every time they did it, they restarted with a lot of number ones.
Yeah, or even like if you want to go back further, what is it called? Heroes Reborn. Was that what it?
Yes, that's right. That's right. The Age of Heroes. Right. Every time there was a major event, something happened and things had changed. Age of Darkness, then the Heroic Age happened, and yeah, you're right. Every time something major happened, like I remember it started with Civil War, went to Invasion, Dark Age, and then it went to the Age of Heroes when the heroes were reclaimed.
Well, I mean, even before that, when Franklin Richards created that pocket universe or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then all the heroes disappeared, and that's when that was like in the 90s. And the Thunderbolts first came on the scene and all that stuff. That was kind of a soft reboot in a way. It was like a world span change thing going on. So I mean, it's in that sense, this is nothing new. Marvel has done this before in that sense. They've just never done it quite on this scale before.
Yeah, and still, again, the word you use is perfect. It's a soft, not even reboot. It's a soft relaunch for a few characters, and it's not rebooting again. They're not giving new origin tales for any characters. They're moving forward. It's just Secret Wars kind of is going to mix and mash a couple of things around and throw other characters into the 616 for us to enjoy in the current Marvel universe instead of having to read them in like for example, with Old Man Logan, a what-if future, or if you want to take Miles in the Ultimate Universe, which is no longer going to exist anyway after the next issue. Ultimate End has one more issue to go, and then we won't be seeing the Ultimate Universe again. But Marvel's notorious for ending things, taking a couple of years off, and then bringing it back. Jean Grey, to date, is the longest death Marvel has held on to, and they've kind of cheeky-wise undone it by bringing the young Jean Grey back, but still the original Jean is dead. So they're kind of being cheeky, but at the same time, they've never fully brought her back to life.
Well, since this last time, you mean. She has died and come back to life before. And Uncle Ben, I think would trump that. I mean, we've seen different versions of Uncle Ben, but the Uncle Ben from the 616 is still dead as far as I know. But yeah, right. So I don't know. I feel like this was Marvel's attempt to clean up their continuity a little bit, to be able to focus on some of those fringe characters and bring them into the main Marvel universe to play with them a little bit, to where a lot of these characters couldn't survive in the environment that they were. The Ultimate Universe was failing except for Miles's book. Everything else just could not sell. It just was not up to that standard. So it was things like that kind of perpetuated this decision to go in this route, I think.
Yeah. And even with what was that other book? I had it and then I lost it in my head. Even then, you don't know. They could always bring it back years from now and say, hey, well, we're going to try again. We're going to unkill everybody, maybe. I don't know. I feel like Ultimatum was the beginning of the end for the Ultimate Universe, in my opinion. I don't want to go too much into a rant. That's for the not a rant, but a discussion about this. Let's finish off really quick. Let's go through. Do you want to do the top 5 or top 10 graphic novels and trades, and then I'll do the top 10 books?
Sure. All right. Let me scroll back down to it. Top 10 graphic novels and trade paperbacks. Going from 10 again, Batman Eternal Volume 2 from DC. DC actually has a few, a few.
No, yeah, DC, after the top 10 comics, DC does make more of an appearance.
Yeah. So, not really a surprise there. That was the best weekly series of the 3. Mm-hmm. Civil War trade paperback.
For the movie.
Which makes sense. Coming in at number 9. At number 8, we have the new Suicide Squad Volume 1. Again, there's hype for the movie, so there's no surprise that would, gain a spot here. Divinity, which is a Valiant, I believe, trade. Was that a miniseries?
It was a miniseries, yeah.
Yeah.
It was in Comic Bento, though, so I would say that a lot of Divinities, because Comic Bento probably bought a lot of the trades.
Quite possibly. Coming in at number 6 is Autumnlands Volume 1, Tooth and Claw. That's an Image series, which I've heard really good things about. So I haven't read it myself. Have you?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right. So going into the top 5, we have Batman Harley Quinn. Again, no surprise there. It's Harley Quinn. Red Sonja 1973 was at number 4 from Dynamite. Excuse me. Hawkeye Volume 4, Rio Bravo, coming in at number 3. I'm kind of surprised and not surprised on that one, just because it took so long. I guess people are picking it up in the trade though. This is the
main one, the original one.
The Fraction series.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming in at number 2, The Wicked and Divine Volume 2, Fandemonium. Again, another Image series that I have not read. So apparently, it's pretty popular. And Fables Volume 22. Obviously, long-running series there. So
it's a very popular series. Fables is supposed to be ending soon, but I have the first 2. It was gifted to me, the first 2 or 3 volumes.
Nice.
And it's okay, but it's not something I probably would, especially because I'm so far behind, it's not something I would jump into. Maybe if they started volume 2, we would see, but Fables is good, though. It's a good series to try, but I would recommend starting from the very beginning with that.
Yeah.
You'll be lost.
Right.
All right.
I agree.
All right, so top 10 books. Now, these I'm guessing are just regular books.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of Star Wars. We got Star Wars, Little Golden Book, Attack of the Clones. At number 10. Number 9 is Star Wars, Little Golden Book, The Phantom Menace. 8, Star Wars, Little Golden Book, Revenge of the Sith. So a lot of little golden books, obviously for kids, which is fine. I think that's great. There's another one. We're going to be coming up to actually – no, there's another couple. Number 7, Breaks the Monotony. With,
no, it doesn't.
Oh, my God. William Shakespeare's Star Wars, The Clone Army Attacketh.
Yeah.
Never mind. Number 6 is Star Wars Little Golden Book, Return of the Jedi. 5 is Star Wars Little Golden Book, The Empire Strikes Back. And number 4 is, it's the last Little Golden Book, Star Wars Little Golden Book, A New Hope. So basically all the little golden books for all the different sagas of Star Wars plus Shakespeare. Number 3, which is the final Star Wars book, is Star Wars Jedi Academy Volume 3, The Phantom Bully. That's a really nice series. I really would love to get the first 2 volumes. Really cute. I saw it at New York Comic Con twice. I saw both volumes, and it's really funny. I would definitely recommend it. I really want to get all 3 together. Number 2 and number 1, ironically, are the exact same book. The Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. The soft cover is number 2. The hardcover is number 2. The soft cover is number 1. I don't know why that deserves to be in the top 10 spot, but
it's just what sold more. That's all.
I guess.
It's. I mean, the Star Wars is no surprise at all. Obviously, new movie coming out this December. So
I think it's great. I mean, if Tommy was a little bit older, just a little bit older, where he would enjoy books like that, I probably would be. It's $5. I'd be one of the parents that probably buys the entire run, all 6 books, just so that I had it. And Phantom Bully for the little academy, for the Academy one. When Tommy gets older, maybe I'll have it. Maybe I'll buy it then. But for right now, I would recommend it. I think it's great. I love that Star Wars is really building up again.
Yep. All right, so we're just doing the toys and games too?
You can do toys. I'll grab into games. I don't think we really have much to talk about with the games, but the toys, we probably will have 1 or 2 things to say.
All right. For the top 10 toys, coming in at number 10, DC Comics variant Play Arts Kai Batman Timeless Wild West figure. Nothing, okay. 9, Back to the Future, the Machine Mark I car.
That's nice.
Cool. Yeah. Coming in at 8, DC Comics, the New 52 Green Lantern John Stewart figure. So
nothing.
Okay. 7, Batman Black and White statue by Mike Mignola.
Those are good if you're collecting the Batman Black and White series. I was going to try for the Superman one, and just too expensive.
Gotcha. Final Fantasy Advent Children Play Arts Kai Cloud Strife figure.
That's cool. That's one of the top Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite characters too from the franchise. All right, number 5, going to the top 5, DC Comics CoverGirl's Wonder Woman statue.
If you like Wonder Woman.
If you like the CoverGirls line too, they do put up some really good statues. Number 4, DC Comics the New 52, the Joker action figure. No surprise there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 3 does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage fine art statue.
Mm-hmm. Kotobukiya.
Yeah.
Beautiful statue. I saw it at New York Comic Con. Worth number 3.
Number 2, Marvel Select Deadpool action figure. Again, no surprise there.
I was going to say, the trailer came out. Of course, Deadpool.
Yeah,
everything Deadpool's going to sell now.
Exactly. And number 1, DC Comics Blue Line Batman by Jim Lee, San Diego Comic-Con 2015 exclusive figure.
I would like to say one thing about that. That's right. One thing. It's a San Diego Comic-Con figure.
Yeah.
Why is that on the list? Nobody could buy it unless they were at the comic convention.
Maybe a lot sold at the comic convention.
I mean, I did get the Superman Batman Dawn of Justice figure set, but I mean that I wouldn't say that deserves to be in the top 10 because it's not. I mean, there's only a X amount. There's not like enough to, like, if everybody wanted one, for example.
I wonder if there are somewhere online if there are pre-orders available for when it does become available.
Then that would be different. That would be fine because that's like Nightwing for Kotobukiya, the blue one. It's basically the red one in blue paint. So
that's the only thing that could explain it, right? Because, like you said, not that many people could have bought that at San Diego.
Exactly, because then everything from San Diego should have been on the top 10.
Yeah.
All right, games. Now this is something I don't really see much to talk about. Number 10 is Magic the Gathering 2015 Origin Clash Deck. If you like Magic, Magic's really dominant in the bottom spots here, except this one. Number 9 is Dungeons and Dragons, the Next Player Handbook hardcover. I guess it's one of those, what do you call those games? The ones where you read through the book. The book guides you through the game.
Yeah.
8 is Magic the Gathering, Dragons of Tarkir? Yeah, the booster packs. Number 7 is Magic the Gathering 2015 Origins Fat Pack. The Fat Pack is a couple of packs, X amount of world or land cards, a new dice, some boxes to put your cards in, and it's really nice. I would recommend if you want to start off on collecting cards with Magic especially, start with the Fat Packs because you get the right amount of land cards you need. You get the dice. You get all the stuff you need to start off playing the game. I would definitely recommend getting the Fat Pack. Next is Marvel Dice Masters Age of Ultron. I see I jumped ahead of myself. Ultron Collector's Box. I have no clue about this at all.
I don't either.
Starter set. Next, number 3. This deserves. Oh wait, I missed. I'm sorry. Number 5 is DC deck building game Teen Titans. If you like me have the deck building game,
nobody will play with you.
Nobody will play it with me, which is why I didn't get the Villains expansion. Which is why I didn't get. There was another expansion. Now we got Teen Titans. Still didn't get it. Still didn't bother. Nobody wants to play with me. Next, number 4 is the Marvel Dice Masters Avengers. Oh wait. Oh yeah. This is the. Number 7 was the collector's box. Number 4 is the Avengers Age of Ultron starter set.
Right.
That's where I lost myself.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, this deserves it. The Chew Case of the FDA card game. We talked about this actually on Hall of Toys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
So check out.
It's cool. Obviously based on the Image series, but put out by IDW.
Exactly. And number 2 and 1 and both go to Magic again. Number 2 is the Magic the Gathering 2015 Origins booster packs, and number 1 is Marvel's Dice Masters Avenger Age of Ultron foil packs.
Yeah.
My bad. I could have sworn I saw Magic twice. The list is starting to look the same to me.
Right, it is. But we're done with it now, so
yes.
It's all good.
So that's a pretty. DC really did. Marvel really did dominate the markets with the comics. DC and Marvel kind of evened out with the trades, and then toy-wise, it's really anybody's game. It depends on what toy company you're dealing with. Same thing with the games. It depends what game companies you're dealing with. So that's kind of outside of the comic companies and more inside the companies that are making the games and the toys and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, it's just, the interesting thing about these top 10 lists is, especially when you're looking at retail market share, these are the books that the retailers are buying because they know those are the books that their buyers are buying from them.
Right.
So that tells you what is selling and what people are interested in. It's very telling that DC has dropped so drastically in the past few months.
Yeah, I mentioned it in my haul video this week. I noticed I have all Marvel. Mike had 2 indie, and I have 1 DC. Wow. Just 1. Green Lantern. That's it. It's the only DC book I have. And Cindy got Looney Tunes, but Looney Tunes doesn't count as DC. They just own the rights because they're working with Warner Brothers. So no DC books. And somebody commented actually and said that their list for DC has also decreased over the past couple of months. Mm-hmm. And this kind of, let's loop this into the last thing so we can round out the show soon. This goes into what Dan Didio said a little while ago. Now, there are hundreds, before anybody attacks me, there are hundreds of ways to interpret the words that he said in his interview. Brant, you remember it best. Do you want to say the one thing that kind of set me off during Zone 4 and the one thing that I'm really referring to?
I don't have it word for word in front of me right now, but I'll try to paraphrase. I did quote it directly on the Zone 4 episode, but he was basically saying that DC's strengths are something that some of the other companies strive for, which is basically a cohesive core continuity. And what was the other part of it? I can't remember what the other part of it was, but it was centered around DC having a stronger core continuity than any other company that has a shared universe. That was the point that kind of set you off.
Right. Now, if you're going to talk about, now, there's so many ways to interpret this, and it's true. I really sat down and thought about it. If you want to go up and say, yes, since the New 52, DC has not changed. Even after Convergence, they are anal about staying in this universe, period. No changes, no nothing. We'll add side books that aren't connected to this universe, but this is the universe we're giving you, period. No changes. That's what you're getting. And then we'll give you some more stuff. But if you're sitting there and saying that Marvel, Image, IDW, any other company is trying to be like DC, if a company wants to go bankrupt, sure, they'll copy DC. Personally, I do work for a comic company, but if I was to say, let's copy what DC's doing or do what DC's doing, I'd basically want to sabotage the company.
I think that's a little drastic, and I didn't say as much on Zone 4 because you were just in the zone, so literally and figuratively. But I think that might be a little bit drastic. I don't think DC is going under anytime soon. I mean, they're still, far above. Yeah, you know what I mean.
There are still sales. People are still buying into it.
I agree that it's not what the majority of fans want it to happen. I think the way DC's New 52 is if you're going to compare it, it would be like when Marvel created the Ultimate Universe, they erased all the 616 and just kept on the Ultimate Universe. That's basically what DC did. And then, like I said, they're appeasing fans by bringing little nuggets of things back that are never going to tie into this main universe. They've kind of made it clear, like you said, that this is the status quo now. And in that respect, if that is the continuity that they're speaking of, yeah, a 5-year-old continuity would be stronger than a 60-year continuity? Of course. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I meant for Marvel.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. I thought you meant there.
Right. But it's just that's apples and oranges. You can't compare that. But if you're talking about DC as a whole, which again, like you said, it's open to interpretation. If you're talking about DC as a whole, then that's just a nonsensical statement, in my personal opinion.
I agree. I just, what really set me up is the fact that he says other companies are trying to be like them. No offense, if I worked in Marvel, I wouldn't have to worry about being like DC. They've got a really strong event going on right now. Yes, it's the same You could say it's in the same caliber as Crisis. I'll give you that. I will give you that because everything is done. Everything has ended right now for Marvel. It's literally just Battle World. The end. There's no anything. Future, past, present. Nothing. Just Battle World. And then we're going back to Marvel. So yes, in that sense, it is Crisis-esque. But for you to sit there and say that Marvel, for example, wants to be like DC, I just don't see it. Because when I think about my pull list and I think about my comics, DC, there are books I like. There's no lie to that. I like the books that I read from DC I'm really enjoying right now. And there's a core group of them. I'm suffering through Superman because everybody knows I stick with Superman no matter how dumb it gets, no matter how crazy it gets. I will stick with it and I will see it through until probably the day I die or the day I stop buying comic books, which the day I die is really the stronger point here. But with Marvel, and anybody in the comments is welcome to feel opposite and state it. I accept it because this is my opinion. You know, this is how I feel. Am I wrong? Maybe I am. But when it comes to my opinion, there is no right or wrong. And when I think about what Marvel's about to do in October, November with their number ones, yes, it's like the New 52, where the New 52 is like, hey, look, all number ones. We're not doing any old numbering. It's number ones. Whatever. You could compare it to that if you want, but it's different. They didn't change their continuity. They didn't reboot their continuity. It's the next step. And for me, the next step has me interested. Brant and I did a whole video talking about the number ones. You can go check it out on Comic Frontline. And 90%, because about 10% I just decided to skip on because it just doesn't interest me, but 90% interested me. When Convergence... Oh, go ahead, Brent.
No, I was just agreeing.
Okay. When Convergence ended, we were given a promise that the multiverse was open. We're not getting any multiverse open books until October, November, ironically. And still, there are changes. As much as you want to sit there and say that this is my Superman coming in Lois and Clark, it's not. They changed the costume. He's older. It's not the Superman we left. It's Superman that we left in a possible. Remember, there's no definitive saying that Lois and Clark are going to have 2 kids. We don't know that for sure. So it's not continuing Superman's story, per se, from pre-New 52. It's Superman pre-New 52 in a new original story taking place in the future because Superman has a beard and he has kids. The whole story is going to probably center around the kids and their family instead of focusing on Superman pre-New 52 just being Superman. So yes, we are getting Superman back, our Superman back, but there's a catch. He's not young anymore. He's older, much older. He has kids now. So it's like the distant future. Instead of being a possible future tale, we're getting that as the main ongoing series for the pre-New 52 Superman. So it's like here we're giving you what you want, but we're changing it still anyway.
Yeah.
Is it turning me off? No, I'm still going to get it because at least it's something. At this point, I need to chew on something, and it's Superman. I'll abuse myself regardless. Just Marvel, if anything, forgetting Dan Didio's statement, forget what he said. Whatever he meant, you could interpret it a million different ways, and he'll, of course, being, he doesn't want to look like he put his foot in his mouth, he's going to say that he meant it in the best possible way so he doesn't look stupid. So looking over Didio's statement, though, with Marvel right now, we've got a really great cinematic universe. We've got really innovative new direction coming right as New York Comic Con is going to be ending. Austin Wizard Con is beginning ending. DC is still moving forward with some new series coming soon. I just personally think Marvel has more of a... I've never read Marvel till recently, and not to this degree. And I'm just way more interested in seeing what Marvel's doing. And I've always been a huge Spider-Man fan, regardless of my reviews or anything. I've always loved Spider-Man, and I hated One More Day. Hated it, and that's what made me drop Spider-Man for a time. But I'm just more interested in seeing where Marvel's universe is going forward. And DC, I feel like I'm either tolerating it, enjoying it, which I am great. I am admittingly enjoying some series, or I'm just tolerating it.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way, and I come from the other side of it because I am a longtime Marvel fan, and I talked about this on Zone 4 that Identity Crisis kind of pulled me into DC and got me to really pay attention to those characters. Before that, it was just okay, I'll read some Flash here, some Batman there, whatever. But it really got me invested in a lot of the characters just that time period and going forward. And so I was a fairly new reader to DC when they decided to just cancel everything and reboot it. So I felt a little bit robbed, but that's a whole other issue. Right now, I agree with you that there are just a handful of series that I'm still enjoying from DC. A lot of the stuff went in directions that they don't appeal to me. But the stuff that's coming out of Marvel coming October just really has me intrigued. It has me wanting to read and find out where everybody's going from here. It's change. It's good change. It's interesting and fun change as opposed to this, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain what it is I don't like about most of the DC titles. They're just not as interesting right now to me.
But now, and I don't want this to look like we're bashing only on DC. Marvel has two Achilles heels, and I'm going to throw it out there right now. Number one, they are notorious for money. They want it. They want your money. So they will double up series. They will up the price on a series that they'll claim. For example, Nova 15 was really Nova 100 in their mind. So it gave them the right to charge $5. So Marvel is notorious for wanting your money. They've always been a cash grab. When I started this channel years ago, I made a video, which I deleted. But years ago, I made a video saying the greed of Marvel. Marvel, all it wanted is money. Money, money, money. They want your money, and they're willing to do almost anything to get it. If they see a series is selling, they double it up. And that's their second Achilles heel, which we'll get into briefly. What they want is they want money. They've never lowered their price of their books. All they did was they decided, hey, you want a reason to pay $3.99? Let's throw in the free digital download code for every book. So they justify that extra dollar that DC still for some of their books. Now DC's going back to $3.99 too, but at least some of their books are still $2.99. But Marvel's justification for the $3.99 is, well, hey, look, we're giving you a free digital code so you can read it on the road. You can take your book and put it away and never have to worry about it. Yes and no. I had the Marvel app. It rebooted somehow and erased every single book. And I had about 300 books on my digital app. All of them were erased. And they claimed I didn't own a single one. And I was not going to file a grievance because I probably wasn't going to win because I didn't even remember how many books I had digitally at that time. So take it or leave it for what it's worth. The second and most important Achilles heel is the doubling up of their bigger books. They're notorious for doubling up series. Sometimes they'll skip, they'll do double ups for Iron Man for 3 months or 4 months. It'll stop, but then they'll double something else up for 3 months, 4 months, and they've done it everywhere. Ever since it was successful with Spider-Man, they are notorious for double. And these are $3.99 books. So instead of paying $4 once a month, you're paying $8 twice a month.
Yeah, and
$4 twice a month, which is $8. Don't get me wrong, $4 twice a month, which is $8.
And the thing with Spider-Man was when it was 3 issues a month, it was $2.99 or $1.99 maybe at the time. I don't know. It was cheaper.
It was $2.99. You were right.
Yeah. And what that does, again, as we were talking about the charts and their sales and everything, it bloats their market share. It bloats their sales. Because you're really not buying more books. You're just buying more issues of the same book. So, I totally agree with you. That is a flaw in their plan. And I don't mean to bash DC either. That, like I said, there are certain books that I really enjoy. When the New 52 started, there was at least a third of the books that I really enjoyed, if not a little bit more than that, maybe even half, closer to half. But over time, it's just gotten less and less interesting and a little bit more stale for me, where Marvel's has turned a corner and become much more interesting. Yes, that will probably flip-flop at some point, but that's the great thing about comics. You have both, and having two publishers at that level and some of the other publishers that are close to that level, when you have multiple facets to get those kind of things, it breeds competition, it breeds creativity, it breeds each company improving and trying to do better by the fans. Unfortunately, right now, I don't feel like we're getting a lot of that from DC.
That's the problem. DC is doing their thing, whereas Marvel's kind of trying to, I don't know, trying to do something different to kind of bring people back into their, that have left or that are thinking about getting into comic books. I don't know.
Right.
It's like you said, I'm sure 3-4 years from now, maybe I'll flip-flop. Maybe Marvel will be just too many books, and I'll be like, I can't do this. I'll go back to DC, and I'll have a handful of DC books. Both companies have their pluses. Both companies have their minuses. I just don't like when a person from one company says the other company's trying to copy us. I believe they are both their own entities. They've been fighting since before we were born. They'll be fighting after we die. And this is just Pepsi versus Cola. This is what Jay told me. There's always, if there's one and another, there's always going to be a fight. Sometimes one side's going to say something stupid. Sometimes the other side's going to say something stupid. So I'm not bashing on DC.
Yeah, we're both wrestling fans. Well, I'm a wrestling fan. You're kind of trying to get back into it. But we were both fans in the late 90s era.
Yes.
WCW and WWE are a good example of DC and Marvel for, people that don't know. But, the Coke and Pepsi is a good comparison as well. Mac and PC, it's just everything like that. Warner and Disney, which, of course they are Marvel and DC. So it kind of fits.
I just feel like DC right now, you want to talk about interests. Marvel has my top interest with the big two. Honestly, and this is to be quite honest with you guys, if you look at the pile of indie books compared to the pile of big two books, indie books really are starting to outweigh the big two because indie books are just really fun. There's no pressure to them. There's no war between two companies. It's just, this is our stuff. We love doing this because we love doing this, period. That's why when I was a kid and I was writing the book that we're going to be posting or releasing from Last Ember Press, for years in my mind I was saying, where do I want my hero? Do I want my hero to be with Superman, who's my idol, the comic character I love and grew up with, or do I want to put him in Marvel? And when DC was DC, I was like, that's where I think I want him because I need a bright universe for my character because my character comes from a bright universe, so it would mesh the best there. As I got older and I started reading more Marvel and I started seeing what DC and Marvel were doing to each other, and especially the rotten back, non-reader stuff that was going on behind the scenes as I was reading more in the news sites about writers and artists, I sat there and I said, you know what? No DC, no Marvel, because I'm not giving any company the right to take my character when I die or if I have to sign him over to them permanent. I'm not giving them the ability to New 52 my character or Marvelize my character. Because Marvel has changed some characters extremely. Venom is definitely one.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that my character is my creation. I call the shots mostly with it. I have editing of it. Brant is my editor, so he does kind of have the definitive last say, but it's still mine. I still have the last word.
Absolutely.
I can put him in the direction that he was created for and keep him in that direction and not have to worry 20 years from now that that my character will be rebooted into something completely and utterly ridiculous. Because if the Siegel and Schuster, those two people, if Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were still alive, I think they'd be disgusted with the way their characters turned out. Maybe not. I don't know. Personally, I would not be happy if my character was made one way in the 90s and now is completely polar opposite in the late 2000 or the 2010s, in the 10s, so to speak. But then again, they say they were trying to copy the things from the 1930s. I don't feel it, but whatever. So that's why I'm happy I found a really great company to post my story because I can give you guys the legit, honest, from the heart story I wanted to tell without having to worry about we have to fight and we have to beat the other company, whether it be DC or Marvel. It's a fight. It's a fight that both of them are going to be fighting to the end. But you got to admit, Brent, one thing. When they did come together for Marvel versus DC and then JLA Avengers, those were really good books.
Yeah, no, I mean, they can do magnificent things when they come together. There's no question about it. And, I think a lot of the warring between the two, again, is just, it's a competitive nature. It's a marketing strategy. It's just the nature of the beast in any kind of business. That's just the way it is. So,
I agree.
Yeah, you got to live with that and just enjoy the stories for what they are. And like you said, right now, Marvel's winning that side for me.
So I don't want you guys to take the wrong idea about what I did on Zone 4. Honestly, it was the heat of the moment for me, honestly. And DC lately, it's very easy for them to tick me off. Even if at first, even if I take something the wrong way, it's very easy for me to go into a rant because I'm one of the fans that was against the new 52, still against the new DCU. Unfortunately, falling on deaf ears, and there are still people that like the new 52, and it brought a lot of people into DC and or comics, so it falls on deaf ears all the time. So maybe that's why I'm easy to anger when it comes to DC and not with Marvel so much. But when it comes to the greed of Marvel, you will see that rant every once in a while if they start pulling some ridiculous BS like with their annuals that are like $10. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the show. If you'd like to see the rant, Zone 4, episode 313. If you'd like to see anything else going on, there's Zone 4 podcast, where this week, Brent, what's coming out this week for Zone 4? I know we did 313 last Friday. This week is
Airship 27 podcast episode number, it's either 6 or 7, I think. That'll be with Ron and Rob Davis. Hold on.
And then for this channel, as you see, these shows are sporadic. Brent and I will be doing these from time to time now. August, the end of August, is going to be a very busy time for both of us. So this might be one of the only shows, if not the only show for August. Maybe we'll push for one more. I don't know, and I'm not making any promises. But you want to say something, Brett?
Oh, I was just going to clarify. It is episode 7 of Airship, and also if we can get schedules together, Hall of Toys will be this coming weekend. Finally.
Oh, if you want to say that, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
For the morning stream, due to very busy schedules, I think the morning stream will probably start in September. It might be safer to start in September. We got to get our footing for that again. That's why a lot of the stuff is starting in September. With the Chris and Brant show, we've been doing this for so long. It's really just giving it a title finally, like I said. And there are two other shows we're planning for some point. If you guys enjoyed these sales talks, maybe we'll do more of these every month, talking about the top 10s and stuff. Remember, these aren't ours. These are by the sales. These are not by any means my top 10 comics. I have a lot of comics. But if you like this, we can do this every month too if we have the time talking about the sales. But I wanted to give you guys at least one Chris and Brant. I always do. Both of our names go everywhere, so whatever. Brant and Chris and Brant show, doesn't matter. B comes before C by one letter.
Well, it's Chris and Brant now because I made a theme song.
There you go. It's Chris and Brant. So hopefully we'll have.
It is your channel.
What?
It is your channel.
It still doesn't matter. We're both on it. So all the other podcasts are going to start in September. So look forward to all the podcasts then. Morning stream will probably start in September. If we can get one more Chris and Brant show, there's one thing I want to do, and I'll tell Brant after the show. I don't want to say it on air, but there's one more show I'd love to try. But if we can't, we'll do it next month. But there's going to be plenty more of everything coming in the future on this channel. As you guys can see, the channel is slowly turning into its new format. Brant's been helping me out a lot with thumbs and with ideas, and also I'm partnering. A lot of the stuff I'm doing here is going on Zone 4 podcast. Which thank you again, Brant, for all the help, of course, and being part of all the shows that I'm working on.
Well, my pleasure, absolutely.
And just look forward to a lot of great things. I hope you guys had a great time tonight on this impromptu live show. Hopefully you guys came away with something. I did not check comments. Unfortunately, mobile apps for YouTube are still poo-poo. Hopefully by this Friday it will change, or else I'm going to have to figure out a way to read your guys' comments, because that's the whole point of Dark Avenger Live. Look forward to the Big 2 review. Should be coming up next. I do have a few other videos I'll be doing throughout the week. Look forward to those also. And hopefully we'll see when the next Chris and Brant show is. Till then, have Have a great night, guys. Don't forget to check out zone4podcast.com, comicfrontline.com, and if you like your gaming, Frontline Gaming Zone, which will be moving up in September also. Building up again in September a little bit also. So take care, everybody. Brant, any closing remarks that you'd like to, do you have a closing theme?
I don't have a closing theme. I could re-sing it, but no, I'm not going to do that. No, thanks again to everybody, and please, like Chris said, check out Zone 4 Last Number Press, where we both are involved with that, and of course, Comic Frontline. You can find us each Tuesday on the live show. This Tuesday will actually be a special live show as we bring in a couple of guys that we brought on to the channel recently, Jeremy and Cirque Show. So tune in for that as you get to meet them and get to know them a little bit more, and then we'll do our top fives as we usually do. So, but yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody. Looking forward to doing some more.
Same here. Love you guys and have a great night. See you guys soon.
Bye.